All right. I think everything is up and running. So let me switch over to the layout for the drawing stream and we will go ahead and get started. There we go. Let me move my BGM thing over here for Spotify. We're going to be running through the BGM playlist, which now includes the latest release from the travel vlog. I'm going to drop it down a little bit. Leave it there for now. If I need to fix it, people can let me know. All right. What are we working on today? We are going to be returning to character concepts today, but we're going to be doing it in a slightly different format than the last few iterations, just to switch things up a little bit. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking our ideas when it comes to experimenting around with outfits, different character design elements and the like, but we're going to be doing that on a Chibi scale instead of a fully fleshed out or mostly fleshed out regular proportion character like so. I do want to do more of that with kind of like the upper body or full body costume design stuff, but I haven't done this in a while. In fact, I don't even know if I've done this on a stream at all. If I have, it's been well over a year. What I want to do is experiment around with the ideas, but at a smaller scale, because I think it'll let me do them a lot faster. So let me scale this one up. And I was thinking before the stream started of redoing this particular base. This is a real simple 3/4 perspective base that I drew a long time ago. I think I'm going to try and re-sketch out slightly. Proportions I'm not really going to change too much, but I might change the head proportions a little. What I think I'll do is I'll kind of rough it out. And if it's not dramatically different, then I'll just use it as a base and kind of alter details as I actually do the image. I think it's a little bit large. Chibi proportions. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong layer. Maybe up here. We don't want to be on the vector layer for this. Chibi proportions in general, I don't really draw in this style a ton, which is why I wanted to practice a bit today. Chibi proportions tend to have large heads, kind of truncated body shapes, and short limbs, because it's like the deformed, kind of exaggerated look. But it works pretty well for designing concepts and outfits because it's a bit simpler. You can kind of abbreviate some details while still getting the general idea across. And so it doesn't need to really reinvent the wheel here. I just want to tweak the proportions and work off of a slightly more up-to-date base. And worrying about details like hands, feet, and the like is not super important. because again, it's very simplified. I think I want to move the ear in a little bit and just sort of narrow the width on the face a little. And we can also do things like flip the reference around a little bit and make sure we're not skewed too much. That way, if I want to use this as an alternate angle, all I have to do is flip the base around and it'll be easier to work off of. And what I'll do is I'll keep kind of refining in the shape until I'm happy with kind of an approximation, and that'll be what I use for the base. And we can compare it to the original too. Right away, I think I like the head shape better. It's a little bit less flat. This one is kind of more wide. Almost looks like it was squished a little bit vertically. Hey, Red Dragon's here. What's up, Red Dragon? How are you doing this afternoon/evening? Hope you're having a good Monday. We are messing around with some ideas for drawing concepts using a Chibi style. In fact, looking at my canvas here, I'm going to shrink these down just for the sake of roughing in details on the sketch primary right here. We'll keep it at this scale, and then I'm going to shrink this one down, and we're working slightly smaller. Red Dragon says, nothing much, just glad April is over. Well, hopefully you didn't have too challenging of an April. That is one of my favorite months because my birthday is in April. But it was fast, I'll say that. It seems like I got back from the trip, and then I blinked, and then the rest of the month was gone. Now we're into May, full on into spring, and then it'll be summer before you know it. Maybe we'll scale this down just a tiny bit. I think that'll work. All right. I think we'll take the entire base and we're going to scale it down maybe about yay high. We're going to call this base 1. I'm not going to bother doing a male and female base since I can kind of adjust proportions on the fly as I need to. And that's not going to be too difficult. I want to rotate you. Oh, what happened to my... What happened to my cursor? I have to recalibrate my tablet real quick. Give me one sec. In fact, I don't know if I can... There. Red Dragon says, it's the reason why I dislike April 4. Do you have a birthday in April? I am really bad with birthdays. So apologies if you had a birthday and I didn't mention it. Oh, what day? What day is your birthday, Red Dragon? I will try and remember in the future. Oh, the 25th. Your birthday was last week. Well, happy belated birthday. I know it's never fun to think about getting old, but as a wise person once said, getting older is better than the alternative, which is not getting older at all. Because you're dead. Alright, let me organize my folders here. What we're going to do here, using this base, is we're going to rough in some details for a character, and then I'll do the inking and coloring just like we normally do in order. So I'm not going to be too concerned with a pose. Instead, we'll be drawing in rough details using the pen and then actually inking them, doing all the colors and stuff, and hopefully it'll allow me to do this a little bit more rapidly. Red Dragon says, well, you'd be the 6th person to wish me a happy birthday. Well, even if it's just one person, I hope you had a decent birthday. At least got to do something fun. My birthday was on the 11th, and normally I stream on my birthday. I have the last couple times, but I was busy with work, so I worked on my birthday. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world, but you do what you gotta do. In reality, my birthday was Japan, just a little bit early. Red Dragon says, "Well, happy level up day." Thanks. Appreciate it, man. The level's getting high. Alright, this particular character is going to be from specific race. I gotta think of how I want to do the costume. Maybe we won't do headgear. Dragon says, "Got myself Mario Kart 8. Oh, nice. Friend poison. Maybe not as bad as Mario Party. No Dragon says, "Wild idea. We should do a birthday level up stream next year." That's an idea. Require a bit of planning. Yeah, we can definitely talk about that when it gets closer. Now that I know that you're the same month as me, it'll be easy to remember. What would you want to do? Oh, now we gotta think hairstyle. Well, yeah, I got stream, but what? What kind of stream? Let's go. Uh-oh. Hey, we got a raid from Team Toxicure. The crew is here. What's up, Wazzy? I didn't even realize you were streaming this early. Or late, rather. Don't you normally stream earlier? What's up, Ace? Rira? CFO Plays? Welcome, welcome, folks. We are doing some character design concept experiments. What's up, Virus Alert? Hope you had a good stream. I see from Ace, Wazzy didn't get any work done again. Is it was a working stream today? How many frames? What's the frame count of stuff that got done today? Wazzy says they made me get no work done. Yes, they physically grabbed your stylus and kept it from moving across your tablet, I'm sure. Hey, first time chat from Dead Signal. What's up, Dead Signal? Welcome to the stream. I'm assuming you were doing art requests. Was it art requests today? Whatever happened to your novel reading stuff on Mondays? Don't tell me you ran out of material to read. I highly doubt crew would allow that to happen. I'm trying to poke up above my tablet here so it doesn't look like I'm just pulling a Wilson from Home Improvement. Ace says, we ran out of stuff to read? Really? It sounds like crew needs to do some research, because there's no shortage of cursed material to read. You folks will just have to dig up something good for Wazzy in order to keep that content flowing. Is there multiple installments of that Ninja series? I need to go watch those, the archives of those streams, just to see how bad it got. Ace says there are 2 books. That is 2 more books than the world, I'm sure, needs. But even outside of the ninja stuff, I'm sure if you dig deep enough into the world of light novels and the like, you'll be able to find something. Just look for something that has a really unusual or provocative title. That's a good place to start. Back to the drawing. Interestingly enough, I've done a lot of work using this type of really simple concept to do character designs. I just haven't done it for a while here on stream. But the idea was kind of put back into my head thanks to mutual friend of the channel and member of the community, Pwops. I was talking to them about a project that they are working on and how they do concept work for designing character outfits and doing kind of just idea brainstorming. And they use a similar kind of process. So I thought, I haven't done that on stream in a while. So what if we took that idea and used it to experiment around with outfits here? That's how we got where we're at now. Red Dragon says, what about Reed Matten Raku fan fiction? I don't think that exists. Someone have to write it first. Not that I'm inviting people to do so. Kind of thinking like a cape. Like a draping cape for this one. That's kind of behind the shoulder. So if you think of the arm here, the other end would be here, or maybe a little bit lower, down here. And we can think of some adornments to put on here. Might need to scale that head down a little bit. This is the sketch primary layer, so I'm not too worried about getting everything perfect, but we want to make it as close of an approximation as possible because this is what I'm going to ink once we finish all the details. Thinking about what else to add. might be a little bit clunky to put additional pieces of armor on top of this. So what we have here is kind of a metallic looking collar piece that the cape is attached to. I was kind of thinking like an armored cape. We just have plates that kind of wrap around the arm part here. So this would be kind of like a functional cape as opposed to just purely decorative. And these would be kind of fastened or adhered to like the outer edges of the garment so it could serve as protective armor. But it wouldn't be so bulky and heavy as to weigh the whole thing down. Red Dragon asks, was the first template of this character yours or a sample you found online? Are you talking about the one that I kind of resketched? Let's see, where is it? This one in black. Let me move it off to the side so people could see it. Not that one. This. Nope. This one. This wasn't a base I found online. It's just one I used a long time ago. I don't really follow the practice of lifting bases from other people. There's nothing wrong with it. I just don't do that. If I need a base for some sort of concept work, I'll sketch it out myself. But it's pretty generic and nothing really that noteworthy. So I'm sure someone could claim that it was stolen if they really, really wanted to. But no, I had that one in the archives for a while. I just dumped it in here so I could repurpose it for this. A Dragon asks, any chance I can use it? Oh, you want to use the base? Yeah, that's fine with me. It's not an asset. It's just literally something I drew. Let me save a copy and I can give it to you real quick. Otherwise, if I don't do it now, I'm gonna forget. But we did get a stretch reminder from Lava King. What's up, Lava King? How you doing today? What format do you want, Red Dragon? You want a PNG? Okay. Lava King says not much, just kind of zoning. Well, this is a good place for just kicking back and chilling and relaxing. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna send it to you like this. It'll be a .png. I gotta be careful because Clip Studio gets kind of finicky when it comes to saving formats. Let's save this here. Call it base.png. Yes. Close that so I don't edit the wrong file. Go back to our work, and then I'll paste it in Discord to you. Again, not to derail what we're doing. I will forget if I don't do it right now. And there you go. Go nuts. I will say that using bases is good for learning in the beginning, especially when you're trying to get concept details and whatever together for like a character idea or anything like that. But when it comes to doing realized drawing, which I know it's bad for me to say because I'm primarily a concept artist, but a good way to learn is to find an actual modeling device or use reference images for poses. As a quick aside, I'm not the best person to talk about this, but I tend to do a pose like this for my concept work because again, what matters to me is getting the ideas for like an outfit or a character design down. So I might do 3/4 facing this way. I might do head on facing this way or something like that. But if you get some references and a modeling tool and start practicing like dynamic poses, you want to go like full JoJo. And do something like that. It's good practice. I'm terrible at dynamic poses. But getting practice doing all sorts of stuff like that is good for, giving yourself tools. And Red Dragon's right. Clip Studio also has a 3D model system, which is great for that. In fact, I need to remember to use that every once in a while for sketching out poses. But yeah, utilize tools and try and find ways to come up with new ideas and push your boundaries. I need to get better at that myself. Lava King says, that's what I did when I was getting a commission for OC or Avatar. That makes sense. I wish I had the tool set to be able to do commissions, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I don't. Doing things to spec is difficult. And I give a lot of props to people who do commissions for others because it's not easy. This particular outfit that I want to do here, it's going to be kind of like a short cut off tunic type garment here. Goes down about, well, that's not a good example. Goes down to about here, just past the waist. It has like a trailing edge. It looks almost like a skirt. It's not supposed to be a skirt. Oh, I see, Lava King. When I was doing the commission, I was getting. No, I gotcha. I meant when you were ordering one. But it goes from both ends as far as specifics and what you want. I tend to do my commission requests to other people because I don't take commissions myself. But when I ask other people to draw stuff or make stuff for me, I have a rough idea of what I want, and I let the artist decide what they want to do with it, as opposed to doing everything by spec. Because unless it's for something really specific, which I haven't really done in recent memory, I just have kind of an idea of the end result, and then I let the artist come up with a design. That's what we did for The Lost Kingdom, where Wazi animated all of those scenes for me. I said, here are the songs, here's some kind of vibe and ideas, and kind of brainstorm, but I'm going to let you as the artist decide how you're going to set the whole thing up. And the end result was really good. Now for the lower extremities, I'm thinking these kind of rough terrain boots are what I want to go with here. Something you would probably use in harsh climate or harsh weather. As far as drawing details in like hands, we don't have to really concern ourselves with that too much. Keep it simple. Might be a little tough to see here, but there's kind of this ridged plating going down the calves towards the ankle. And we lose the ankle a little bit because of the kind of chibi proportions. But we have kind of a rough texture here, and then the part that goes all the way around the calf. And then the pants be kind of loose fitting, but not super baggy, like parachute pants. We have kind of like a runic character on the face. Don't know if I'm going to keep that. It's pretty common for people from this character's race. We'll leave it for now. Wasn't expecting quite such a grumpy looking expression. Really more neutral. Hey, one of the new tracks from the recent release finally came up in the rotation. I should ask people if they want me to do a compilation video for that. Normally when I release music, I'll put a compilation video together for YouTube that has all the tracks edited in one spot so people can preview them and listen to them before they go check them out elsewhere. But because they were featured in the travel vlog, I didn't do that. I figured it'd be kind of redundant. So I probably won't for that one unless a bunch of people ask me. I'll just point them to either the travel vlog video itself or the streaming platforms that all the stuff is uploaded on. Alright, let's take a look at the design here. Maybe what I can do is duplicate something we've done before where we have multiple outfits that we sketch out at once, because I want to do everything kind of at the same time and then figure out which ones we like and then maybe ink the one that stands out the most. But we use the same base, so we're not redrawing all the proportions, redrawing all the character features. So the easiest way to do that would be to take the base and move it over. Then call it sketch 1. Duplicate it. Call this sketch 2. Move it over here so we're using the same primary to map out the proportions. But we take everything that's not character model specific. We clear it off. So we're going to design a completely different outfit using the same character. That way we're not having to redraw the face, put all the details on there, and it'll save some time. So let's see what happens. I'm trying to go for an entirely different outfit style. I don't know if it's going to be armor. I don't know if it's going to be straight up clothing. Maybe a mix of both. But we'll see. I like the idea of layers. Let's mess around with that a little bit. Maybe instead of having that crossover, it would be an outfit like this. Like an overcoat is what I'm kind of thinking here. Oh, and I see we have a redeem for Smoraku. Alright. Let's put myself right on top of my tablet. And we'll see how long it takes for me to remember to turn it off. I think last time I had that redeemed, I left it on for like half an hour. Alright, so garment over here, kind of a tunic type style, medium length I would say. What if we went for something that's a bit longer? Let's be kind of like a more long coat than straight, like cut off overcoat. Maybe something you'd see in a temple or something like that. And you have clasp buttons or fasteners. Maybe going all the way down, since this thing has a decent length to it. You wouldn't want it just flaring open in your nether regions. Kind of like an undershirt there. That's an interesting idea. Imagine chest would be about there. You could even do something really kind of fancy and decorative where there's like embroidered or painted characters on the garment itself. Running down the side as opposed to symmetrically or in the middle. I've seen coats that have these kind of interesting patterns on them. They look really neat and kind of flashy. I don't know if I could ever wear one. I don't think I could really get away with wearing something like that. And for the pants, maybe we have kind of simple, low cut. Kind of more like slacks-ish compared to the more baggier style here. Not quite like fatigues, and not like bell bottoms. I don't really want to do that. Just kind of like a loose, simple, again, kind of like priest robe pants. Color scheme for this one right here seems like it would probably be maybe darker tones. For this particular race, a lot of their clothing is in darker, kind of more obscuring tones. Dark blues, dark purples, things like that. And so we're talking about maybe formal or prayer robes, probably a similar type of coloring. Maybe the characters themselves would be in a contrasting or lighter color. That way they don't blend in with kind of the dark garments. And for the shoes, maybe kind of like sandals. Simple fabric or cloth with hard-soled sandals. Okay, let's save our work and take a look at the contrasts and ideas. Kind of illustrate my point about why I'm doing things this way using these chibi models is, as evidenced, we're about an hour in the stream and I have done two sketches completely. If I was doing this with fully realized, more normal proportions, it would probably take me that long to do one in sketch form, depending on how many different ideas I had. Versus here, you know, we do several of them. And then pick and choose which design we like the most and which one we want to realize into a more inked and colored concept. So let's do another one. And I'll put a note here. I don't know if it'll really matter for the sake of the concept work. This might be for my reference too, so I don't forget later. But this is a male model. think I would proportion a little bit differently, even though it's still simple and simplified rather in Chibi. But let's see, we'll duplicate this. We're gonna do the exact same thing. Pull over a copy, just make sure it roughly lines up proportion wise. I'll call this 3. And then delete everything from here and start fresh. And I could turn off small mode. Before I forget. And we keep moving. Now for number 3, we've got a cape. We've got kind of more of a robe. So we need to do something that contrasts a little bit for this next one. We could do more of an armor forward design. Kind of like that idea. Start with like a neck piece. Oh, we could even do like a full armored chest piece like this. Kind of like a cuirass. So it doesn't focus on guarding the shoulders and arms, but focuses on like a chest plate coverage. I always thought that was an interesting type of armor style. I think it usually is made in conjunction with more like plate type designs. I'm not an armor expert. But another kind of design trait for this particular race, their armor styling is kind of modeled after bone plates. And so you might see things on the arms. This is just an example. I'm not going to keep this here. But you might see a kind of flat, notched, or grooved bone plates set with stones or other decorative things as part of the design. I don't really wear skulls per se, but because they're not actual bones, it's just a type of metal that's meant to emulate that design. So kind of run with that idea and see what we can come up with here. I like the idea of kind of having these textured grooves in different parts of the armor, as opposed to a smooth surface or like kind of a convex surface. Again, it's kind of more of a textured look, again, like plating, bone plating. Now for the lower body, I'm going to think a little bit about what I want to do for the lower body. Because we could do something like a belt. Maybe we have the clasp of the belt off center instead of right in the middle like a belt buckle. Oh, I need to define this a little better. This is like a neck piece, and then I think I want this to actually go around. So this is more like a garment underneath, and then this part here is actually going around it, as opposed to it being over the top. Now let's see what we want for the lower body. Wouldn't make sense to have all the armor being only on the upper torso. My first thought was to kind of just do fully draping, kind of slightly baggier fatigues down here. This is just a placeholder. And then maybe having plates on them for armor like this. But another idea we could do would be not pay as much attention to the pants and focus more on kind of like greaves, high armored leg protector things that might go up to maybe mid thigh here. Again, thinking like a bone texture. And so there'd have to be some sort of articulation here or here-ish, so it's not just one solid fused piece. Otherwise, this character wouldn't be able to walk. He'd be basically Tin Manning it everywhere. Instead, you'd want to have some sort of segmenting, maybe down here, so that there's articulation between the legs, ankles, calves, ankles, and feet. That's an interesting style, though. I don't think I've really done leg wear that looks like this before. But we're assuming symmetry here, so things are going to look the same on both sides. That's by design. Okay. Let's take a look at that so far. Save. Now I gotta think about what we want to do for the arms. Got a couple ideas here. Could have a kind of sleeved garment, which we've done already. One's like over here and over here. We could also have the entire outfit be, again, focusing on armor and have the chest piece be cut off so that the garment underneath is sleeveless. And instead we have maybe a situation like this where it's arm pieces on the upper bicep / shoulder area. Maybe a slight uncovered part here for movement, but everything else is protecting upper arm here. And then maybe we do like a forearm bracer type situation. It's an interesting idea. Be a little bit different from what we've done so far, which is the point. And then keeping the idea of symmetry, we have the same thing on this side. Now, what would be a good idea for the bracers? We could do kind of like a clasp situation. Horizontally going this direction. Yeah, I kind of like that better. Maybe these things are kind of snapped and secured over the arms and closed on the inside. Like maybe put something on the inside like that. And maybe this would have kind of like a worn metal texture to it. And this part here in the midsection wouldn't be bare. I'd like to think from this part right here, it's a sleeveless, but maybe like a thick material kind of undershirt, maybe like an Under Armour kind of thing. And it goes all the way down the torso here, so that there isn't just bare skin. Okay, let's zoom out and take a look. We'll save. And I'll hide this. So what we have here is three very different outfits, same character. From top to bottom, again, using the simplified proportions for like a chibi type model. Pretty different combination of themes. Where's my pencil? So number one, we have a mix of sort of cloth garments, not super heavily armored, but some stuff on the cape, which is sort of the main accessory here. So on a scale of lightly armored to heavily armored, this one will probably be in the middle. On number two, we have no armor. This is a strictly clothing type outfit with kind of like a monk's or priest robe, decorated with characters and kind of more of a draping, obscuring garment. Not really functional for combat, but be functional for everyday wear. And then on number three, we have a focus on primarily armor. With a chest plate covering here with these kind of bone-like ridges. We've got kind of high greaves here, arm guards, and bracers. Three definitely seems more focused towards combat. Maybe something a soldier or someone who's has to be in some sort of direct conflict would be wearing. And so based on these three, I don't know if that's necessarily enough to kind of make a decision on which one I want to fully flesh out and ink and color. Kind of leaning towards number one, but thinking of some other design work I've done with this type of stuff before, I want to say I have a character model that's pretty similar to this one. Definitely 1 and 3, I can think of a couple that look somewhat similar. They're not identical. I drew them a long time ago, but they're kind of similar in design. 2 is the most unique, I think. But it's also the most simple. I think there's a less amount of busy details on 3, or 2, rather. This one right here. So I'm kind of tempted to do a fully inked realization of this one first. There's no reason why I couldn't do all 3 of them. But I'm trying to think of the order I want to do them in to sort of flesh out the ideas. So maybe we'll do number 3 or number 2 first. I keep saying number 3. I'd like to at least get line art, all the way through line art on one of these, and maybe the color assignment for the stream today. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to make a decision. Let's start with number 2. We'll do our line work on vector, as we have for all the other concept drawings. We'll be consistent in that regard. And now we're going to go in and fully define all the details. If I want to change anything in the design, I'll do that along the way here. As I'm drawing in the details here, since now it's not going to be sketchy, it's going to be more defined. You might be wondering if the character specifically has eyeliner, and that's by design. It's particular race has this kind of type of, you can consider it like a makeup on around the eyes for males and females. It's part of their kind of individual style. So yes, that's by design. So you need to make sure it's not too egregious. And you get a save reminder from Red Dragon. Thank you. I can never save often enough. One thing we'll be able to do if I end up doing more than one of these is I can copy the head over to another body and then not have to redraw it. So again, it'll be consistent. Now for the hair, I think I'm gonna go dark shade, maybe like dark purple. Make sure we stay within boundary too. Kind of a stylistic choice that I've done for these characters. Even on the non-chibi ones, I'll do the hair in the line art on the hair in a different color. A tone similar to whatever I'm going to be color filling later, as opposed to a black outline. And I started doing that a while ago. Just kind of stuck. Do kind of a rough pass, and then I'll have to go in and clean up the line art in general, so I'm not going to worry too much about the extra strokes for now. And I'm going to still think about whether or not I want the runic mark here. Oh, I actually kind of like that a little bit better. It's just a little bit too thick. We'll leave that there for now. Feels a little bit too extra, then I'll just take it off. You can't see it here because of the way the bangs fall, but this race has a birthmark character on their foreheads. So it'd be something like right there in the middle, but it's hidden and obscured by the locks. So now it'll just be a matter of inking the rest of the details. And I could probably work a little more zoomed out since there's not a ton of fine details for this one. Just be as accurate as possible, and then I'll go and do the cleanup after this pass. Have to be careful with all the fine details and things like the buttons, the clasps. I'll have to think about what kind of color scheme makes sense for those as well. I was thinking maybe silver or kind of a gold, the contrast with the rest of the garment. Now move on to the lower body. And the shoes. Now the characters on the coat itself, or robe. I'm going to kind of improvise a little bit here. I'm not going to follow the exact patterning that I had. I'm trying to make it look like it's following like a vertical pattern instead of just running down in one direction. Which is a lot easier to do when I'm using a stabilized brush. The pen that I'm using has max stability on it so that I can get consistent lines and do stuff like that instead of having it be all kind of wavy. The idea of doing like alien lettering in characters is pretty easy when it's stabilized like that. Stuff like that. Just random characters in like an alien language works really well when you have stabilization on your pen tool. As a former pencil on paper primary artist, getting used to digital tools and stabilization was welcome. That, along with the ability to do complex edits and undo. Can't do that when it's pencil on paper. Alright. So now let's go through and clean up all the line art. Then we might be able to get through color assignment, maybe close to doing shading. We'll see. Work our way down just like we have before, deleting out any extra strokes if I need to go back and reline stuff because there's a break. I can do that easily enough. Like we've seen in the past, though, because it's vector, sometimes the software, because it's trying to do everything via math, it's a little bit difficult to do fine edits. Usually I'll have to just redo the entire line, but then it'll look better. That's why you're getting this sharpness with all the line work that you wouldn't get if it was completely rasterized. You'd get more anti-aliasing, and it wouldn't be quite so crisp. You still get some anti-aliasing, but not as much. Can also make sure there's no missing spots on the buttons. I'm just eyeballing it here on the eyes and the face, making sure none of the lines are off, especially with the kind of shadowy bits around the eye perimeter. And make sure we're not cutting it off like unusually high. I'm not flipping my canvas. I'll do that a little bit here and make sure we're not completely skewed. For the most part, the face is fine. Normally I have a problem with it being skewed one direction or another, which is kind of an inherent problem no matter what kind of drawing you're doing. Okay, let's zoom out and take a look. Oh, we should probably line in at least the irises. This character doesn't have completely blank eyes. I'll do that. That'll force me to make a decision. There we go. Okay. Could drop out the primary. And now we have line art. Well, saving our work here. I think we do have time to go through color assignment. That's good. Let's collapse you. Make the line our reference layer. And now I gotta think of how I want to do the color assignment. Fortunately, we don't have to worry too much about the eyes because they're actually framed. They're bounded instead of having like a gap. The whites of the eyes. Let me see. Could do select fills. Ooh, I like that color. Kind of a lavender. Yeah, I think that'll work. And we'll keep everything separate in case I want to adjust levels on the fly. So this will be hair. And this will be skin, be hair, skin, and clothes. Usually that's the way we separated it on other drawings in the past. Now for flesh tones, this particular race is kind of more pale, fair skinned, which is interesting because they live on a planet that's very hot. But the garments they wear, the reason why they're usually darker colors is to absorb sun and deflect. So let's try this. I'm really not that great with skin tones. I think that'll work. Another thing I can just adjust on the fly if I need to by messing around with levels. Fortunately, it's just the head, neck, ear, and hands. All the rest of the character's body is obscured by the garment. This will be clothes. For the clothes, I'm thinking kind of like a dark blue for the robe. Yeah, kind of like that. Like a dark, kind of dark indigo color. That way it's still kind of that dark neutral palette, but you can see the characters that are either stitched or painted or embroidered on the actual code itself. They show up in contrast. You go the same color on the pants. Thinking again like monk or priest robes. Everything will probably be matching. And for the undershirt, maybe more of a grayish color. The reason why I'm not group selecting all these is because my keyboard is far away and I can't get to my shift without really reaching over. Let me go for kind of a darker color on the shoes. These, there's so many of these. I'm going to try and shift select these. Ugh. These we talked about maybe like a kind of faded bronze or gold color. That works. Okay, I think that's a good start for the color palette. Pick the hair, skin tones. Oh, we need to do the earrings. These, just make these kind of silver. Oh, and the eyes, these do need to be colored. We'll go white, because when we mess around with other layering, if these aren't colored, then they'll be empty. We don't want that. I'll do one for eyes. I'm thinking like pale green or green yellow for the eye color. Something else I can change if I want to later. For the clothes, because we did everything separately, if we want to mess around with the levels, then it's pretty easy. Just use hue, saturation, luminosity. And this is really good for alt palettes. I think it's fine where it is, but some alt palettes might be like maybe this color. It's kind of a cool teal color. We can go more of earthen tones. That's not bad either. I like the bright blue on the buttons. Okay. We might actually be able to completely or at least get close to finishing shading. Before we do that, I'm going to have to go top to bottom and make sure I catch any empty spots with the color assignment. So let me do that, see how much time we have. Before I do that, I'm going to go fry some chicken real quick. I will let everything sit here, and I'll be back in 1 minute. All right, let us resume. Make sure I unmuted my mic this time. I did that yesterday. Accidentally left it muted for a good 20 minutes before I realized I was talking to no one. And I don't think I've ever done that before. All right, so now we're going to move through real quick each of the color layers and make sure we haven't missed any filled spots with the color assignment. I need to make sure I switch layers accordingly. Otherwise, it's going to mess the drawing up when I go into shade. Okay, that's hair. Skin layer looks more or less okay. Clothing layer, not too many. Not too many small spots. We should be okay there. Red Dragon says, yeah, I ended up muting during my stream. Yeah, I do that whenever I go to the bathroom so that you folks aren't hearing indecent noises. And usually when I sit down, after I get back, I just hit the mute button, again, to take it off in OBS. But when I was playing Resident Evil yesterday, I must have misclicked, or I didn't hit the right window, and then I just picked back up. And sure enough, I looked over, I was like, people have been awfully quiet for a while. And I realized they can't hear me. I've been talking for 20 minutes about weapon stats, and no one can hear me. So that's embarrassing. Okay, I think that'll do it for cleanup. Let's go through. Let's do the shading on this one. At least do the first pass on shading, and we'll see how much time we have left. I'm not on a strict schedule today, but I do have something I need to do right after the top of the hour. So we'll go ahead and go through each section, and then we'll just see what happens. So for hair, we'll go a few shades darker. That might be too dark. There, that's better. We don't want it to be darker than the line art that's bounding the hair, otherwise we won't be able to see the boundaries at all. What I usually do for hair specifically, I don't do this on any of the other parts of the shading, but I do for the hair. I'll put in the shadows like we're doing here and I'll rough it in, and then I'll go back and smooth the edges to give it more of a blend. And I do that to make it a little bit more softer in texture instead of hard shadows. And I pretty much have only done that on hair. It's kind of a stylistic choice. On the outfits, skin tones, and everything else, it'll be more hard edge shadows. As I was sitting back down on my at my desk, I realized there was something else I wanted to do on stream today that was for an upcoming project. But I've been going back and forth about whether or not I wanted to work on assets on stream, because then it wouldn't be necessarily a surprise. But then this idea came to me earlier today, and I completely forgot that I was going to work on assets. That's okay. Since I don't normally have a lot of time to just draw on my own, I use these drawing streams as a way to get work done for upcoming projects when I remember. But that's okay. I'm working on something that hopefully, actually I don't even know if it's going to be out in May. It's going to depend on some other people I'm working with as well. So I guess it doesn't matter if I do the assets now or later. If I can't post the project, then I can't use the assets. But we'll see. It's still stuff that needs to get done. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the blending. What I'm doing is just doing a slight blend of the edge of the shadows on the hair to give it a softer texture. And doing that just, again, it gives it a bit more of a softer texture, and it's kind of a stylistic choice for the hair. Now I can put a shading layer on the skin. And that might be too gray. It's better. I'm going to do the rough pass here. I think I'll do that for everything. That way I can at least have rough shading bounded on all of the spots. And then I can always do the cleanup offline. That's not hard. Not terribly interesting to watch either. I double check, make sure I'm coloring above the right layer. Fortunately, because I'm using clipping masks in order to make sure I'm shading on the boundary of whatever color layers below it, I don't have to worry about being on the wrong one, because if I'm on the wrong one, it won't actually color. It's really more for color assignment. That's really a big deal. Okay. I'll save that. That'll do it for skin. Now I just need to do a clipping layer for clothing. I'm going to go too aggressive on the shadows here. So we could still make it all the details on the coat or robe. It's pretty simple. We just follow the folds of the robe, try and accent the folds and creases where necessary, and follow the light source. I am not the best at shading. I'll be the first to admit it here. It's probably the part of drawing I like the most because it's most interesting, but it's not my strong suit. Doing dynamic lighting and coloring for shadows is something I'm actively trying to get better at when I practice. We're kind of working top to bottom here, but I'll kind of systematically go back and make sure I'm not missing sections here. Especially we want to make sure we're getting a bit of shadowing around the buttons to show that they're kind of raised. They're not flush against the coat. They're raised and textured a little bit. I'm going to move down the arm. I want to get kind of the corners and the edges of the robe as well as we move further down. Now we can do the undershirt. Now we can do, this might have to go in the skin layer. The earrings. Oh no, those are colored down here. Okay, yeah, we'll do it here. The buttons. I guess I have to do the shoes, and that'll be it for shading. All right. You know what, just to close this one out completely, I'm going to do the cleanup now. It'll be fast. I need to do the eyes. Put the highlights on there. Now this pass is just cleaning up the edges of where the shadows fall. And we're going to do it layer by layer. So skin layer. which doesn't really require a whole lot of edits. And likewise on the clothing. Rather than do it color section, we're just doing top to bottom. And all the spots where I want to just slightly clean up the edges of the shadows. We can also add color into sections where we want to. If I missed one. Okay, not too bad. Let's compare final product with the other ideas and see where we ended up. 1 and 3. Open these up to regular opacity. Interesting. So I think the results for the experiment were successful. Now that I'm looking at the kind of robed outfit, it reminds me a little bit of like a school uniform too, which is definitely not the idea I was going for, but you could definitely pass that off as like a Japanese school uniform inspired type of design, maybe minus the fancy characters. Pretty sure they don't let them do that over there. But with the results, we've managed to fully realize this design in the middle. And I think what I'd like to do in either an offline session, future session, or whenever I get to it, I'd like to fully sketch out and render designs 1 and 3 to compare. It'd be the exact same head, so I could literally copy this off of the body of number 2 and draw out the rest of the details and have the head be the same, so I wouldn't have to worry about redrawing any of the features on the actual head. And so I think the exercise is a success. I'd like to do more of this, maybe the next time. If it's not with this particular model, maybe with a female model and doing the same exercise. Maybe a different race, different type of aesthetic and clothing style, but go through the same exercise. Sketch out maybe 1, 2, 3, then pick one I think is the most interesting, then fully render it, and then compare. Because this exercise is all about experimenting with character designs, design elements, and seeing if we can come up with something cohesive based on throwing all sorts of ideas at the wall. And so I think that will do it for today. That was a fast 2 hours. I did want to work in some more creative and art type stuff streams this week, since we've been kind of focusing a lot on video games over the last couple weeks. We will be back Thursday with Monster Hunter. It's the first time in a while I've done Monster Hunter. I will be jumping into the latest title update, which I haven't looked at all. I don't know if I'll have time to scout it out before the stream. So I might be going into the new fights completely cold. And then I'm hoping we pick up on Armored Core next week. There's a bit of a schedule conflict this week on Thursday. So I think we'll be picking it up next week. And then likewise, Resident Evil will be picking up next week as well. Well, before we jump off, let me pause the BGM. Let me see who is online that I know that we can raid. Let's see. I see a few folks. I need to double check my main Twitch stream because it only shows me a few people I know that are online. So let me double check that before we go. Okay. I don't think I'm missing anything. Let's go raid Micro. I haven't seen her in a bit. She is playing Power Wash Simulator. It always looks like fun. We'll go ahead and send some positive vibes over to Micro. So let me get everything queued up on the raid and we will jump over there. And let me switch everything over to outro too. So that will do it for today. Thanks again for everyone who came and hung out. Always appreciate chatting with you. Shout out to Wazi and the Toxic Cure crew for the raid. It is also very much appreciated. And we will be back in a couple days to hopefully hunt some monsters. So hope you folks have a good rest of your night, and I'll catch you later. Let's go see what's up to Micro.